Hey everybody, welcome to the just a special edition of the Landlord Coach Daily-ish show. It's actually just the Daily-ish show. I know always want to seem to throw the landlord part in there, but welcome to the Daily-ish show, everybody. I know it's been a while since I have seen you, and the first time I come back in a couple of weeks. First of all, I've been traveling. I've been doing a lot of teaching, a lot of coaching. It's been really cool, but I come on with a brand new friend. So you're all like, what is this guy? He's changing it all up. Well, honestly, I really feel like I've known this man forever. We connected on a podcast. I was actually on his podcast not that long ago, yesterday to be exact, and we connected like peas and carrots. So I know there's a lot of people who watch this show who are in single family, they're in multifamily, they're in parking garages, they're in self storage units. Well, Mike Morawski, he is specifically in multifamily. And he is my guest on the show today. So, Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, Mark, thanks for having me. And we did connect yesterday, and we really, what was interesting is I had you on my show. We recorded to, come out a little bit later in the next 4 or 5 weeks, and we really kind of hit it off.
Yeah.
As I think a couple things we believe in and who we are at the core, and business functionality and belief, and you know and I think when people come together like that, it just makes a big difference in people's lives. So I really appreciate you having me on. Do you do this show daily, did you say?
Well, it's called the Daily-ish show.
Okay, daily-ish show. Okay, so that's kind of like whenever you want, right?
That's right. So I do it mostly daily, Monday through Friday. There's days of the week that I just don't get it, and honestly, it's because I didn't want to create a job for myself, and I was feeling like inauthentic to who I was, and about it, if I created a job for myself. For people who listen, like, well, you're not very time wealthy there, coach, if you're creating a job for yourself. I'm like, well, that's true. I do love doing the video cast, but realistically, I also was getting hung up. Well, if I call it a daily show, I have to do it daily. So daily-ish, that's what it's
Yeah,
called, the daily-ish show.
perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
great,
So
great way to lay that out.
yeah. So Mike, so you specifically, I mean, you're in the multifamily industry, obviously, right? You've been in the multifamily space for a while. Um, I specifically, I'm not opposed to it, but what opportunities are you seeing out there? Like, in terms of your approach to multifamily, like, what is it? How do you go about that? How do you look at deals? Like, what's important for you in that space?
Yeah, boy, there are 14 or 15 questions you just asked there. So um, I'll try and unpack a couple of them.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I've been in the real estate space for 30 years. I started out on the residential side and then went into multifamily in 2005. And on the residential side, when I went into the business, my first 9 months in the business, I sold 78 single family houses, all for sale by owner, and then built a team selling about 125 homes a year, all listings. So I
Wow.
gave all my buyers away. I was very active in how to go get business, and those same techniques that I did to sell houses, I teach people today how to find deals to buy as an investor. So I think that that's really a key point, is how do we go find good off market deals and things like that. How do I look at deals today? I look at deals today through a different lens than I have over the years. I think today you have to be more um, creative in how you look at deals, and by creative I mean you have to think things through a little bit further. It used to be kind of just cut and dry. You could put an interest rate in and figure out what the rent growth was going to be, but now
Right.
you have to look at all those metrics. And when you underwrite them, and underwriting is just a fancy word for saying, hey, I'm going to take everything off an rent roll and off an expense statement, and I'm going to put it into this fancy tool that I've built,
Right.
and I'm going to, which I didn't have when I first went in the business, right? When I first went in the business, I underwrote by hand until I uh, created this tool that helps me to look at a deal today, and look at rent growth, look at job growth, look at household income, look at the things that need to
Wow.
be looked at in order to say, hey, this deal works or it doesn't work, or the market works or it doesn't work. So there's a lot that kind of goes into it today that we look at.
Yeah, that's so important because I can tell you, I was an underwriter. I was actually in the commercial space, specifically in the commercial lending world for a bank. And I didn't do as much real estate. I mean, I did some real estate, usually somewhere between 500,000 to about 2.5 million, somewhere in there. But those are the smaller credits that I looked at. I looked at a lot of manufacturing though, and a lot of ag stuff. And when those spreadsheets came across, we peeled it all apart. From an underwriter perspective, basically I was a credit analyst is what the position was called. But and we looked at it for the stability, probably the same way, very, very much in the same way that you're looking at it, looking at the cash flow, looking at the valuations, looking at the leverage, looking at all the same things that you are.
Yeah. What's funny is you don't appear to be the person that I envision as an underwriter, right? I always I always think the underwriter is like 5 or 6 stories down underground. They got the one big bright light over their head and they're smoking cigarettes, right?
Oh yeah.
To figure out the numbers because they're making decisions on people's lives, right? Whether
Right,
can
right.
buy this deal or can't buy this deal. I and I don't know that I've ever met anybody where you go out to a function or a golf outing or an event and somebody says, "Oh yeah, I'm an underwriter," you know, because
Never.
I never thought underwriters wanted to be notified or identified as an underwriter.
No, it took a 12-step program for me to find my soul again. So
Oh, that's
yeah.
great. That's
Yeah,
great.
it was a. I'll tell you what though. In that space though, I learned so much about how banks think, and I will say that from the residential side, I know there's a lot of residential people who are on here. I consider multifamily obviously anything more than duplex up to to whatever. You can buy fourplexes using residential type financing. Obviously you're in much bigger stuff though. I mean, you're looking at stuff that's specifically that's going to be needing a commercial type loan or commercial lending, or maybe you might find an owner finance deal. But usually they're going to be looking at debt service coverage, that type of ratio, and instead of debt to income, which would be on the residential side. So that's probably more of the realm. But I learned so much about how banks think on the commercial side, because those are where the massive deals are coming through, and understanding that vernacular of hypothecation and debt service coverage and all those different phrases that you just don't hear in the residential side.
Yeah. So, I have a little course that's a 4 day, it's a 4 day challenge that people can go and learn how to underwrite. And, I said early on, I said, when I first figured it out, I underwrote by hand in the beginning because I didn't have a fancy tool. I didn't
Right.
have a big Excel spreadsheet and I wanted to learn the metrics. So I teach people how to underwrite by hand because I think you need to know those steps. You need to know the functionality of what goes into, how do you take a calculator, right? And figure out the rent growth and figure out the cap rate and figure out the expense ratios and where
Right.
that's going to go unless you do it all by hand. Because
Yep.
you know what, we cheat too much today, I think, with Excel and things like that. But I teach people how to underwrite by hand and then teach them how to use a spreadsheet that I give them as part of the challenge. And the spreadsheet is one of those that I've had a lot of underwriters that have called me and said, "Hey, where'd you get this?" you know,
Yeah.
and I say, "Well, listen, it's 20 years in the making, so do what you
Yep.
want with it." So
Yeah.
it's one of those robust tools that help you look at a deal, and I want to put a stress test on it. So when I underwrite that deal, I want to stress it and I want to say, "Hey, if the market changes and if
Yep.
the interest rates go up like this, and if I have to pay more interest and I don't get my rent growth that I wanted to get, does the deal still work?"
Right.
Because I have to be conservative today, and we all need to be conservative today in the aggressiveness of the marketplace.
Yeah, we called that exact thing a sensitivity analysis. Like
Right.
if you changed it, and that's a brilliant approach, because from the bank's perspective, we're just trying to manage risk. Well, you should be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
As an investor, the investors watching this, you should be doing the same exact thing. Is what risk are you putting yourself in? Because I don't think that people. I know from my perspective, back when I was getting in, getting into the game, I didn't recognize the risks that I was taking, and it cost me huge. I mean, it cost me $4.5 million of real estate back in 2008 because I did not understand the risk that I was taking. I was taking money because the banks were willing to give it. And that was absolutely the wrong approach. I did not recognize the risks that I was taking. So, doing that sensitivity analysis and saying, okay, well, what if I don't hit my rent marks that I'm hoping to rent, or what if the rent changes and 1,000 new units come on in the next 24 months? How is that going to impact me? If I have to take less rents, or if or it's really really interesting too when I underwrite how people rely on things like late fees to make the numbers work, right? Or like fees, like they rely on those fees that are not given, or they're relying on pet fees that are not given, and to make the numbers work. And that's not saying you shouldn't embrace them, but you certainly shouldn't underwrite them, in my opinion, anyway.
Yeah. So I, I'm an out of the box thinker, and I like to look at a property and say, hey, how can I create some multiple streams of income? How do I create other revenue? One of those line items is other income, and that could
Yep.
be laundry income, it could be storage income, it could be, there's a number of ways that you can create other income. I think one of the first times it was really relevant for me was I owned a property. There were 20 buildings. Each building had two doors, two parking spots on either side of the door. I took those 80 spots and I rented them. You
Oh,
know,
wow.
people people like to be close to the door if it rains, with groceries, things like that. I rented those for $50 a month. I
Yep.
mean, that that 4,800 or $48,000 a year at a 10 cap increased the value of that property
Yep.
$480,000. I
Yep.
mean, so when you can add multiple streams of income and you can create other income, not from bank fees, right? From from things you can substantiate.
Yeah.
And I love to be able to do that. How do I look at a property? I'm doing a deal right now, Mark, in Florida. It's a 40 unit apartment deal that we're doing. And out back, there was this old storage shed or old building that they used for an office. And it's got running water and it's got electric to it and it's got heat. And we looked at it and said, hey, we don't need an office because we're not going to be here. Why don't we convert this to a laundry room? Because
Right.
there's no laundry facility on site. Let's create a laundry room. We'll
Love
have
it.
somebody else supply the washers and dryers, and we'll just get revenue after the water's paid, the electric's paid, and
Yep.
we figure we'll create another $5,000-6,000 a year in revenue from that process. And we don't have to replace a washer and dryer if it goes bad. We don't have to fix it. Somebody else does. We pay for the water and electric and supply the building.
Well, and what I love about that is it's not just a revenue source, but now you've made that place a
Yeah,
destination for people.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because now they don't have to, like, it's like, okay, I'm not loving the fact that I have to go out to use the laundry, but I don't have to drive down the street. Like, I don't have to load up all my crap and go
Right.
sit in a laundry facility, or take it to someone else's house or whatever. You've made effectively that location where they now live a
Yeah.
destination where they can
Right.
handle everything they need and be much more just self-contained and self-sufficient. I love it. I love That's a fantastic
Yeah.
idea.
So where these people in these 16 units, because this is one section of this complex, didn't have washers and dryers in their units, and the other units all do. This is a facility that they can use. Plus, we're going to put a nice barbecue pit and patio out there where it'll be where they can go hang out and sit. So
Right. Right. I
it'll
love
be
it.
a nice little facility upgrade that we do. And what else does that do? That also adds to the opportunity for tenant retention. It adds to the opportunity to keep the tenant longer. And Mark, you're in the landlord business. You know that it's a lot better to keep a tenant than it is to go find a new one.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I have the line item that if we can get past the first 12 months, because I underwrite vacancy on my own units for every 12 months. That vacancy expense, if I can get them past that first year, everything else is gravy.
Yeah.
But man, and it can be, it can be challenging to get there because people right now people like to move around. They like different options. I like single family for that reason, because people don't, they tend to be a little bit more stable. They don't tend to move around as much as the ones in the multifamily units. Not true in every market, but in my market, it's true. So, well, listen, we're about 15 minutes here, and you have got so much knowledge in this space that, and I know you teach. You know, we're both natural teachers, right? You
Yeah.
teach. You have a 3-day event coming up. Why don't you talk about that a little bit? What is it you're going to be covering? And I know it's for not. It's a no brainer deal. It sounds like you're not charging near enough for it. So,
Yeah.
what's it going to be about? It's coming up on this weekend coming up, isn't it? Or 2 weeks?
It's 2 weeks. It's October 14th, 15th, and 16th. It'll be in Schaumburg, Illinois. That's outside of Chicago. If you're going to fly in for the event, it's probably 15 minutes from the airport. It is a deep dive into multifamily. And Mark, I love this. I love to talk about my stories and experiences and the things I've learned. So, and it hasn't all been perfect in my life. I talk about success, loss, and redemption in my story. And I want to tell people the mistakes that I made along the way so that they can avoid those and learn from those, right? Because I think there's strength in that struggle that we go through. But people will walk away with a 13-point blueprint that they're going to be able to go out, walk out the door, and buy a multifamily deal, whether it's their first one or their next one. I'll never forget the first real estate seminar I ever went to. It was a 3-day weekend. I went home Monday morning. I started scouring the newspaper. By Monday afternoon, I had a real estate deal that I bought, creative financing, $1,000 out of my pocket. The owner held the paper on the rest, and it was a 3-unit building. So I want people to be able to walk away to be able to buy their next deal, their piece of real estate, their multifamily right away from it. So you're going to get a 13-point blueprint. We're going to talk about relationship building and networking, building strategic alliances. If you're at the event, you're going to have the opportunity to do that. And if you're online, because it's going to be live streamed also, you'll have the same quality opportunity to communicate, network, build relationships
Awesome. Yeah.
as you would have in the, because I'm going to make it very interactive. I'm also going to have a panel. I'm also going to have one of my partners in the multifamily space. He's going to be on with me, and we're going to talk about language. I think that when you make the transition from single family world or from another asset class into multifamily, there's a whole new language that people need to learn and
Yep.
understand.
Absolutely. Yep.
And when you start talking about NOI, net operating income, and cap rates, and the capitalization rate, and interest
Yep.
rates, and DSCR, debt service coverage ratio, people don't understand what those are. Let me walk them through. Let me talk to you about that. Hey, I wrote a book called Exit Plan, Your Complete Guide to Multifamily Investing, and you're going to get a copy of that book, but I'm also going to teach you how to develop a great exit plan so that you know how and when to maximize your profit in the deal. We're going to talk about underwriting. You'll get my institutional grade tool, and
Yeah.
we're going to teach you how to use it. Plus, you're going to get a 1-hour free course on the underwriting after the event is over. So at another time, we're going to do that. We're going to talk about operations. So we're going to cover a lot of ground, and I'll have a panel. I'll have some of my clients that I currently work with that will be on the panel. We're going to talk about their success and how my coaching in that has helped them grow their business. And we'll talk about actually the difference between active investing and passive investing, hands-on investing, or sitting back and letting somebody else run the asset and you
Right.
just being a passive investor. So we're going to cover a lot of ground. We're going to talk about a lot of things. So, Mark, you said it, that event is, $297 for 3 days. And let me just throw this out right now. If you want to register for that, let me give you a coupon code that will get you 10% off of that registration. When you're at the registration page, just go to mci.com. I'm sorry,
Okay.
just put in MCI in the coupon code. That'll give you 10% off.
Okay.
But, and then you can see the registration link is, I put it in the private chat
Yep.
there.
I just put it in the chat, so I just posted that.
Okay.
I'm also posting the coupon code, easy for me to say,
Yeah.
in there as well. So that'll be posted to, so go to the mycoreintentions.com/, skyrocket dash your dash wealth. That's what's being flashed across the banner now. And then of course the coupon code will get you 10% off. So, yeah, honestly, now let me just ask, because usually, I mean, I think you're pricing at 297. So basically just, a little over $250 for all this information. Especially, it sounds like if you're new in the industry, or and obviously a great opportunity to network with other people that are in the industry. But let me ask you this, just flat out: is this one of those events where you get to and you're pitched to the entire time? Is that what this is, or is it? I mean, is it one of the things where you're absolutely going to be learning for 3 full days?
Yeah, you're going to learn for 3 full days. Are you going to
Good.
get pitched to? Yes, you're going to get pitched to. I do have a coaching program, and I don't hide that from anybody. And
Yep.
and I only take a few people, so I don't
Awesome.
take a lot of people, right? Because I'm the coach. I
Yeah.
don't have hundreds of coaches coaching for me, so I
Yep.
want you to get hands-on experience. Somebody called me yesterday, said, "Hey man, I need help. I'm stuck." I said, "Great." I said, "Let's see what we can do to get you unstuck."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
See, it's about what I can do for you, and how I can serve you. So I have a ton of free material, a ton of things to offer. You're going to
Yep.
get just a lot of value. And here's what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to say, "Hey, this is the price today. Here's a red line through it, and another discount." It's
Yeah.
not that. It's one price, and
Yeah.
that's it. So,
I
come to
love that. Yeah. I think there's so many times, because I know that I've been to those things too, where you go to a low priced event, you're, seemingly low priced, and you're pitched to the entire time. And I know that's what you're not about, just because I felt like, I just wanted people to hear that, though, because I have a coaching program too. I have things that I do, and I say, look, at the end we're going to talk about if you want to work together or not. But everybody's not. I'd rather be someone's shot of whiskey than everybody's cup of tea, right? Like it's but I just let them know, hey, I've got this tool in my toolbox. I do have some coaching, but I don't. Yeah, again, I do this because I love it, not because I have to.
yeah.
It sounds like it's the same thing for you. So,
Yeah, I've
um,
been, Mark, I've been to those events where they promise you that you're going to get all this meat and you wind up getting a bunch of fluff,
yeah,
very little meat. Trust me, you're going to walk away, your head will be spinning, and you'll have to sort it out. And,
I love it.
I want to be there to help you sort it out because I just believe in delivering value. So,
Right. Right. I love it. Well, hey, Mike, it has been a true pleasure getting to know you, and I love your heart. I know you're a man of God, which is true to, close to my heart. And I'm glad that we were able to connect. I don't believe in coincidence. I believe in providence, and that is absolutely something that, obviously we were meant to have these conversations. So,
yeah,
so if you're watching this, make sure you get signed up. You don't even have to actually physically go. You can obviously get it through the live stream. So, get in there, get signed up, and
right.
make sure you use the coupon code. Was it MCI to get the 10% off of that today? Is it MCI? Yeah, MCI. Yep.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, very good. All right. Well, everybody, I do appreciate it, Mike. If someone's not able to do this, can they reach out to you any other way? What would be a good way for them to reach out to you and get in contact with you directly?
Yeah, absolutely. Go to my website. There's a ton of free stuff on my website, ton of podcasts. I'm all over social media, Mark. So wherever you hang out and get your fix on social media, you can find me, or you can find my core intentions, everything from TikTok to Twitter to LinkedIn to Instagram and Facebook. So I'm there, and you can find me there, or direct message me at mike@mycoreintentions.com.
Perfect. All right. Well, we've got My Core Intentions up there, Mike at MikeCoreIntentions.com. Well, perfect. Well, hey, Mike Morawski, I really appreciate everything that you're about. And go ahead and don't delay. Get signed up if you're interested in learning about the multifamily space. And that's what we have for today, folks. So I'm going to sign off, and it's good to see you. I know some of you were messaging, worried about me. I did not, I didn't dry up the daily show. We're still doing it. It's just I've been busy and traveling, had a lot of people that I was networking with, and then I took a little bit of a break and spent some time on the beach, so that was definitely needed. But anyway, we're going to sign off and say, please be sure to place a value on your free time, because if you don't, someone else will. But most important, there is no amount of money that will make time irrelevant. Have an awesome day. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, Mark.